get classified into one of the broadly two buckets. One, either you are more of a services person or you are more of a manufacturing person. So then you could be industrial and consumer with a bit of an IR experience somewhere. As a thumb rule, it's easy to go from the industrial, manufacturing, consumer to services. And there is a reason also, because services like IT and some of the new age technologies have emerged later. So they did not have a ready talent pool to hire from. So they, by default, hired from manufacturing sectors, and therefore that talent movement has happened more readily. On the manufacturing side, there is still less readiness to accept somebody who has never done IR, even though it may not be relevant in the current job. But leaving aside this broad categorization, it is actually useful to work in more than one sector, because if you have worked in too narrow a sector across your career of 15, 17 years, then you do get slotted. On the other hand, if you have worked in 2 or 3 different things, it's broadly a positive thing. So that's on the industry choice. On the functional choice, the point is that, if you, let's say, start off in talent acquisition, your talent acquisition experience will be very much valued by another company which is looking to hire a talent acquisition expert. But this is where you can make a choice. The choice is whether you cash in that experience which you gain in one company and move to another company for a higher salary or something, or you actually stay put and try and push for some different role in the current company, which is always easier. It will always be more difficult to change company and your functional specialization until you get to a generalist role. So in that sense, just be conscious about that use the equity, the credibility you build in your current organization to get as broad an exposure as possible. If you see early signs that you're not going to get broad exposure and you're going to get slotted, then think about a move. But yes, if you do 3 talent acquisition head roles in succession, unless you really enjoy doing that and only want to do it for the rest of your career, it starts to become a bit of a handicap where you start to get branded. And hence, that is one thing to keep in mind. In terms of coming from an executive search perspective, what is it that you should look for when you prepare your CV or when you go and present yourself to clients? When you're writing your CV, ask yourself the question as you read it. Let's say you write your job, head of organization development in company X from this period to this period, and then you say, I was responsible for doing this. And if that reads like what I could have copied from an organization behavior textbook, then it's probably not the right thing to write there. It is pretty much you're writing what is expected from the job. You are copying from the job description. And too many CVs put you to sleep because they are just generic copy-paste of what is a generic description. Write something there, write about specific challenge. Throw in as many numbers as possible. Even if it's one small thing, but it has to be something measurable. That's one thing which is often missing. So take a hard look at the CV and just ask V broadly as you specifically, what did you contribute to that challenge, and then specifically outcome, how did the needle move. Clearly, if you can't across your career think about 2 or 3 of such very specific quantifiable examples, then clearly there is something missing in your career. But most of you will have some of those examples. Usually the problem is in preparation, in thinking about those examples, thinking ahead, that how am I going to bring out my experience. Too many people end up just talking in generic terms, that I was in this role, I did this from X to Y, then I was in this role, did from Y to Z, and there's nothing extra value added apart from describing the CV. So that's the second point. And then my last point, and then we can wrap up, is around investing in building your personal brand as you go through your career. More important than your CV, your interviews, are people who have worked with you. End of the day, 80% of your jobs will come from either direct or indirect referrals to people who have gotten to know you. So you need to spot the people who matter to some extent. It's not about sucking up to them. In fact, sometimes it's about taking a position in front of them. But to do that, you need to think hard. You need to think of something distinctive and really work hard on that. And avoid small mistakes which could rub people off the wrong way, so that 80% of your hard work goes to waste because of that, those 20% of time of some moments of indiscretion. So I would just say, don't underestimate the importance of referrals. People you might have worked with 15 years ago, and you just were sometimes, you have to take tough decisions as an HR head. And I don't think people will blame you because you fired them. If you were fair about it, if you were transparent about it, if you took the effort to explain why somebody has to do the job, and if you did everything possible to help them, I think 9 out of 10 people will remember it positively, even if you were part of the process of letting them go. But I think sometimes, we get too drunk on our power, and we forget people's emotion, and we kind of say things which we shouldn't. And sometimes those come back to bite in the references and so on. So just being about careful, and that's where, being compassionate and so on is very helpful. So just, I would again emphasize the importance of references, not underestimating anybody who you work with, how that person could be critical in your next role. Those are a few points. I can go on and on, but we can talk separately in private. We can happy to share my details.
Thank you all for the time. As a next step, request each one of the HR panel heads to please come forward.
Actually show up. So, but because all the people who invited, it's been a humbling experience for us. All of them showed up and actually shared their insights with a small group of people. They were not in the limelight today. All these people are used to being in the limelight. So thanks to all of you for being here. I would invite Mr. Bharathan on behalf of NHRD to give out a memento to the Spencer Stewart consultant. So Bharathan. Can you also invite the Sripati representative from Ramco to give out a memento to South Plants?
Just a minute, sir. Okay. One picture. Just a minute. Thank you.
Can also invite a lot of participants, Ashu Kalapa, one of the longest supporters of NHRD, come on stage.
Just a minute, sir. Sir, just a minute. Okay.
Thank you.
Sir, please come forward, sir. Sir, please come forward.
I hope all the panelists have received their thanks a lot to everybody for coming to the scene. We're looking forward to seeing you for the next.